At 07:10 local time, a Tomahawk missile erupts from the deck of the USS Spruance and screams toward Iran. The booster falls away, and a turbofan the size of a coffee table spools to life as the missile drops to just 50 feet above the waterline. 4 seconds later, the next cell fires, then the next, then the next. The largest American military operation since the 2003 invasion of Iraq has just begun, and Iran is about to find out firsthand why Americans don't have free health care. Within 90 seconds, 8 missiles are gone. 300 miles northwest, 2 other destroyers are running the same drill. 25 Tomahawks now race their radar altimeters along the wave tops, threading between Iranian coastal surveillance stations on routes designed to exploit every known gap in coverage. Flight time to the IRGC naval bases on Iran's southern coast, 40 minutes. Nobody in Iran has any idea they're coming. Somewhere on the Gulf Coast, an Iranian radar operator is probably drinking tea and staring at a blank scope. He has about 39 minutes of peace left, but Tomahawks are patient and slow. At 550 mph across open water, they have 40 minutes of exposure where a single coastal radar ping could compromise the entire southern attack. Everything now depends on what crossed the border ahead of them. Already deep inside Iranian airspace, a wave of low-cost loyal wingman drones, called Lucas, is doing something no American weapon has ever done before. An Iranian air defense operator at a Bavar 373 battery watches a dozen slow-moving contacts materialize on his scope, pushing inland from the coast at barely 110 knots. He can't tell which ones carry 40-pound warheads aimed at his radar antenna and which ones are just noise, so he does the only thing his training allows: he fires. The interceptor streaks off the rail, over $1 million, tracks a drone the size of a riding lawnmower, closes at 3 times the speed of sound, and turns it into confetti. But it wasn't a Tomahawk. What just got blown up was a $35,000 unmanned combat aerial system operated by Task Force Scorpion Strike. These drones, reverse-engineered from captured Iranian Shahed 136X and built in Arizona, are now the most important aircraft over Iran. The operator fires again, another $1 million, and again. This is cost-exchange warfare at an industrial scale. Every $1 million interceptor chasing a drone cheaper than a pickup truck is one fewer left in the magazine when the real Tomahawks show up in 30 minutes. Worse, every time that battery fires, it broadcasts its exact position to the passive sensors on the F-35s now crossing the Iraqi border. That operator is spending his ammunition and painting a target on his own forehead at the same time. But the Iranian air defense commanders celebrating their wins are about to discover something ugly. Those interceptors they just burned through were going to be desperately needed in about 25 minutes, because what crossed the Iraqi border next wasn't a $35,000 drone. 12 F-15I Rams had been climbing east through Iraqi airspace for 90 minutes, tucked behind a screen of silent F-35I Adirs running electronic warfare. Each Ram hung heavy with a Rampage missile slung under the centerline. At 08:05 local time, the formation reaches launch altitude over western Iraq. The lead weapons officer confirms the final solution, refined 3 times via Link 16 from an Israeli Oran intelligence aircraft. The pilot squeezes the release. 2,500 pounds drop away. The Ram jumps, nose pitching up from the sudden weight loss. The solid rocket motor lights. The weapon punches through the sound barrier in seconds, trailing a wide exhaust plume as it climbs on a ballistic arc toward Tehran. 11 more Ra'ams release within seconds. 12 weapons now accelerating far faster than anything Iran can intercept at this phase of flight, arcing east. A Tomahawk from the Gulf needs 45 minutes to reach Tehran. These weapons need minutes. That gap is the entire ballgame. 45 minutes gives Iranian radar operators time to detect, track, get authorization, and fire. Minutes gives them time to watch the impacts on the news. At airweight 10, everything arrives at once. The standoff weapons hit first. Supersonic warheads arriving with functionally 0 warning time. The office of the Supreme Leader on Pasteur Street takes multiple direct hits. An Airbus satellite passing overhead captures the aftermath. Several buildings inside the compound reduced to broken concrete, smoke columns punching through the morning air. Within minutes, the F-35I Adirs cross deeper into Iranian airspace carrying JDAMs and GBU-39 small-diameter bombs. This is where the F-35's sensor fusion earns every dollar of its price tag. The pilot rolling in on the Ministry of Defense doesn't flip between radar screens, infrared feeds, and threat displays. The jet's computers merge everything: its own sensors, Link 16 data from every aircraft in the formation, and satellite imagery, into one clear picture. He sees every Iranian radar still operating, every friendly aircraft, and the exact GPS coordinates of the buildings he's about to put bombs through. One screen, one picture. like driving with a GPS that shows every traffic camera, speed trap, and pothole, all updated in real time. Iran spent 30 years building an integrated air defense network. The F-35 turned it into a highlight reel. Across Tehran, the pattern repeats. Ministry of Intelligence, Atomic Energy Organization Headquarters, Parchin Military Complex. Each target selected because it cannot be rebuilt quickly, relocated, or replaced from backup systems. The F-35s aren't hitting random government buildings. They're severing the administrative nervous system that connects Iran's military leaders to its units in the field, its intelligence apparatus, and its nuclear bureaucracy. But every minute the F-35s spend over Tehran, their fuel ticks down and their exposure grows. And from the mountains of western Iran, Iran's most capable remaining air defense system, the one the Lucas drones haven't reached yet, is starting to track them. 3 hours into the operation, the weapon Iran was counting on finally gives itself away. After Israel dismantled virtually all of Iran's Russian-supplied S-300 batteries in October 2024, Iranian engineers spent 2 years building a domestic replacement. What the IDF would later designate the SA-65, a mobile phased array radar with roughly 150-kilometer engagement range. They positioned it in the Kermanshah Mountains, guarding the western corridor Israeli jets had been using all morning. An EA-18G Growler from the Lincoln's Air Wing catches the first emission. The SA-65 search radar had been pulsing intermittently for hours, short bursts trying to track the F-35s without staying on long enough to attract a missile. But now, with a second wave of rams inbound, the battery commander makes the decision every air defense operator dreads. He switches to full-power continuous fire control track. The moment he transmits, he is finished. The Growler's ALQ-249 next-generation jammer floods his frequency with enough power to turn the display into noise. Simultaneously, an F-35I that has been passively mapping that emission for 90 minutes passes the precise grid coordinates via Link 16. From a Super Hornet orbiting 40 miles west, an AGM-88 Harm drops off the pylon, lights its rocket motor, and accelerates to nearly Mach 3. The missile's multi-mode seeker doesn't care if the radar shuts down. It already knows where it lives. Emission to impact, less than 90 seconds. Iran spent 2 years building a replacement for the air defense system Israel destroyed. Israel and the U.S. destroyed the replacement before it could launch. A U.S. official would later say, "We have effectively suppressed their air defenses." That sequence rewrites the rest of the day, because the aircraft that had been orbiting over Iraq for 3 hours waiting for exactly this moment are finally cleared to push deep. 12 F-22 Raptors get the call. These jets from Joint Base Langley have been burning holes in the sky over western Iraq, watching the air defense picture shift from red to amber. Now it's go time. The lead Raptor pilot pushes both throttles to military power and banks east into Iranian airspace. His APG-77 radar paints everything within 125 miles, while his own jet returns a radar signature roughly the size of a marble. An Iranian fighter would need to be within 15 miles to register anything at all. At 15 miles, his AMRAAMs are already off the rail. But the Raptors aren't here to shoot down fighters. They're here to listen. The F-22's ALR-94 electronic warfare suite quietly catalogs every electronic emission on the ground below. A mobile SAM battery that relocated during the morning chaos and thinks it's hidden, already geolocated. An IRGC command post communicating on a frequency it thinks is secure, logged, coordinates tagged, forwarded via Link 16. The Raptor pilot never fires a shot he doesn't need to. Every piece of data his jet collects makes the next striker's job easier. With Iranian air defenses functionally suppressed and the Raptors feeding targeting data to every aircraft in theater, the coalition scales to full capacity. Israel's next wave. 30 more fighter jets, fans out across Isfahan, Bushehr, Avaz, and surrounding areas, hitting ballistic missile warehouses, air defense production lines, and Shahed drone depots packed with one-way attack drones pre-programmed for Israeli cities and American bases. JDAMs and small-diameter bombs walk through depot after depot, hundreds of drones gone in minutes. Simultaneously, U.S. strikes hammer deeper IRGC command and control infrastructure, underground bunkers, communications relays, fiber optic nodes. The targeting logic is simple. Sever the communications first, and commanders can't coordinate even if they want to. Iran's internet drops to 4% of normal. However, a hacked Iranian prayer app is still able to push one simple message through to millions of phones. Help has arrived. If you enjoyed this video, watch our other video where the US annihilated Iran's nuclear program. Bye for now.